Since 2018, I have become aware of this methodical, divisive culture that has infected our entertainments by people who are very hateful. They seek out jobs. They seek out work in entertainments, comics, games, movies, television, not for the purpose of creating or even just simply making money while creating a product and satisfying customers, but to press an agenda. They've been called a lot of things. It used to be called SJW. I don't know if we do that anymore. They used to wear it like a badge of honor back in the day, at the time of Gamergate. Steadily over the last several years, we have seen people putting themselves, hiring others in positions of power and influence in the media, game journalism, the access media, entertainment journalists or journal activists, people in companies in comic books, DC and Marvel, people at Disney Lucasfilm, people in CBS All Access, Star Trek. It's all over the place if you look for it. I guarantee you that you watching this, if you were to seek out an article that cites toxic, angry, alt-right, misogynist, Nazi, toxic fandoms, that you would find people who espouse a narrative. And it's misinformation. It is an attempt to change our culture. It is an attempt to change you, the way your kids see things, and to shame you and shame anyone who doesn't co-sign to their preferred ists and isms. And I'm not even joking. I'm not even being hyperbolic with you guys. Please, if you like this content, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. I'd appreciate it. So I've been fighting this battle for almost 3 years now. I was inspired by others who made me hip to what was going on. And then I went back and I began to research everything. That's when I began to write the Fandom Menace volumes, which are about more than just Star Wars. It's about the use of media and entertainments to change our culture, and not in a positive direction. It's been because of other people that I've been able to accomplish this, to be honest with you, because all the information that I needed to put together in order to present the information in these volumes was a lot, all-encompassing. Excuse my preface, but this journey we're going to take today began yesterday, when the most popular Star Wars channel on YouTube, Star Wars Theory, was attacked by Pablo Hidalgo, was insulted, was berated because he had an emotional reaction to seeing Luke Skywalker, something he loved and cared about. And the company culture that had been created at Disney Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy, and they're not the only ones in all of entertainments that are acting like this, that are pushing these types of narratives. Well, we're going to focus on them today. Because Pablo thought that it would be fine, because it has been fine. Now, whatever you think of Star Wars Theory, let's give credit where credit is due. He's worked hard. He's put out good enough content that millions of people have subscribed to him. No matter what you think of him, credit is due. And he does it. You can't do something like that. You can't build that kind of channel. You can't spend day in and day out on something like that without loving it. Pablo Hidalgo didn't care. Pablo came at his neck. And the reason he did is because he's been doing it for years. Because Kathleen Kennedy supports anti-fan sentiment. Has. Hired a lot of people who said some very disgusting things. We're talking about liberal Hollywood now, right? We're talking about liberal Hollywood. The progressives, the anti-racists, and the anti-sexists, who say some of the worst racist and sexist shit you will ever read, see, or hear. We're going to go through a little bit of that tonight. The company culture at Disney Lucasfilm said it was perfectly fine for Pablo Hidalgo to come at the biggest Star Wars channel on YouTube, one of the leading voices in our community, and make fun of him because he had a strong emotional reaction to the hero of the saga, Luke Skywalker, whom, from all the evidence that I'm going to show you tonight, I would presume the people working at Disney Lucasfilm hate. Because, although he's a fictional character, he's straight, white, and male. And that's a big no-no. That's a big no-no. That's where this road started. And it took someone in the Star Wars community who has tried to stay out of the drama, no matter what y'all think of him. Some people think he's a shill, some people like him, some people don't. Credit where credit is due. He's the biggest. He worked hard for it. He made that fan film. Spent his own money making that fan film. It was a damn good fan film. The person that was the most neutral, not Fandom Menace, not anyone who has the same stance as the Fandom Menace, like people like Yellow Flash or Clownfish TV, any of these great channels that have also been standing up for the fans. They came at his neck. Pablo came at his neck because it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly acceptable for Pablo Hidalgo to do that. He's fine with it. He's fine. It's like affluenza to a rich person. He's fine with it. The company, because the culture he's around, the people he's around, the people he talks to every day. F them fans. What they like Luke Scott? Oh, them losers. They're probably alt-right. Like that white heterosexual male. What's wrong with them? I'm going to go through this. There's people in this community I'm going to give a shout out to real quick because a lot of the inspiration and information that I have, that I've gathered or been inspired by comes from these individuals. And they deserve credit where credit is due. Now, why I feel bad for what Star Wars Theory had to go through, being picked on by an executive at Disney Lucasfilm, this is something that has been happening. It took someone with a real neutrality, someone who was pretty much liked by all, well, not all, but pretty much liked overall, and for him to clap back at being attacked, which is rightfully so. Rightfully so. We've been doing it for years. Other fans have been doing it for years, getting labeled toxic, misogynist, and sexist, and called names. Been doxxed. Had people come after our employers. Brian Young, StarWars.com, came after Anthony Ergo in an attempt to dox him, to stop him from being financially viable. He is a writer. He is an author. People at Disney Lucasfilm and connected with Disney Lucasfilm have been doing this for years. But none of us had those None of us had millions of subs. A lot of us had to build platforms. I'm not shaming anyone by saying this. I'm just making a point of. A lot of us had to build a platform to defend ourselves. One of them is Stephen Wayne Art. This is Stephen Wayne Art. I owe a lot to this man. This man's my friend. He created this meme. You guys might have seen this meme at some point in the past. Just from a little bit ago. We're gonna take a trip down memory lane for a moment. This is the "What Should Have Been" meme that Mark Hamill retweeted and was like, "Yeah, I wish I had been with my friends again. I wish we had one scene in the sequel trilogy." And then he was told by cancel culture, by the fantivists, the fans of ideologically driven entertainments, really hateful people on the internet, really just terrible, toxic, awful people that will point the finger at you and project every damn thing they are, and forced Mark Hamill, not that I believe Mark Hamill is a good person at this point anyway, he's said a lot of terrible, awful things, but he was canceled into taking this tweet down. Something that I think universally the entire Star Wars fandom shared. And Stephen Wayne was shamed for it and has been on the defensive from people at Disney Lucasfilm ever since. Chapek, Iger, y'all watching, do y'all care? Y'all got affluenza. Y'all get paid too much to even give a damn? All you Disney execs, do y'all get paid too much to give a damn about what's happening in your own house and has been for years? Speaking of toxic Twitter and social media, this is another invaluable resource in our community. This is Data Racer 117. Data Racer's been collecting material. Please go follow Data Racer. Link will be in the description below for all these wonderful people. Just go take a look at the stuff he's collected. The awful, terrible things that have been said. Racist, sexist, awful things, but we're toxic. But Data Racer is toxic. But the Star Wars fandom, the people who love Luke Skywalker, people who love Han, Leia, Chewie, R2, 3PO, Lando, all the original trilogy cap. Those people who love that, the 50-somethings that Kathleen Kennedy doesn't like and doesn't want around no more, they're the ones getting attacked. They get attacked just like Star Wars Theory got attacked. Star Wars Theory has millions of subs. He gets to call it out. He gets a call from Disney Lucasfilm apologizing because of how many subs he has and his position in the fandom. But if they had realized the importance of what fandom is, would they not have instilled a company culture that wouldn't have attacked the largest Star Wars YouTuber? No, they didn't, because they don't care. Data Racer has been collecting materials for people fighting against this forever, and all kinds of terrible tweets, comments, not just Star Wars but Marvel, all over the fandoms. Awful people that I bet are Kathleen Kennedy fans. Then there's this man here. This is Itchy Baka. He runs a blog site called Disney Star Wars is Dumb. He is probably the one person, if any, that inspired me to write the Fandom Menace volumes, talking about these people in our entertainments that have infected them and used them as platforms to espouse division and hate. Itchy Baka is somebody I look up to. We don't always agree, but he's been through it too. He, like many others, has had to hide his identity, like Ruin the Man Baby did, Anthony Ergo, before Brian Young of StarWars.com came after him to dox him and destroy his financial viability, his reputation. Many people have to hide their identities. They can't speak an opinion. They can't talk about a fandom or something that they love. They have to hide who they are out of fear of cancel culture, supported, and that supports Kathleen Kennedy's culture at Disney Lucasfilm. Disney execs, do you give a damn? Are you giving a damn about what's happening in your house? This is Itchy's site. Disney Star Wars is Dumb. Link will be in the description below. Itchy Baka. Here we have the famous Forces female t-shirt. I mean, who said it earlier? I'm not sure who said it earlier. Please forgive me. I took this from someone. I watched a lot of videos. Could have been D-Day Cobra. Could have been Clownfish. Could have been Ryan Cannell, who's killing it right now. Could have been Drunk 3PO, killing it right now. All these people killing it. Could you imagine if Lucas had showed up at a Nike event with the Forces male? Could you imagine the outrage that would happen? No. But not liberal Hollywood. Please. I know some of y'all are coming in here catching the algorithm from Star Wars Theory, from everything that's going down with Star Wars Theory. And I'm glad that you're a fan of Star Wars Theory. And I'm glad that you support him. And I'm glad you get some joy. I'm glad that you get joy out of Star Wars Theory. And I wish him well. If you are upset about what happened to him, please understand that this has been going on for years, all over the fandom, by people at Disney Lucasfilm, and why it happened to him is because it's perfectly fine there. That's how they roll. I'm sure you've already seen plenty of people going over this. This was the corporate apology. This is the corporate apology after mocking a fan for loving something Star Wars, for daring to have an emotional reaction. And the only reason that he was shamed for having that emotional reaction is A, because it's something from the original trilogy era, and B, because Luke, as far as we know, is straight and white and male. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even exaggerating. This is not an exaggeration. This is straight up racism. Straight up sexism. All right? Can you imagine these male feminists over here like Pablo disrespecting themselves every day? But they're safe. Pablo's safe because he's not white, so he's safe. He's got one checkbox. You know, you hear an awful lot about this from many different channels talking about the checkboxes and identity politics. Guys, this stuff is real. It's not just hyperbole. I'm going to show you. This is real. And it's been happening to your fans. It has been happening to your brothers and sisters in the fandom. In many fandoms. And while they're being bullied by people in creative control, while fans are being bullied by people in creative control, these people have enough control over the access media. Oh, you don't want to do what we say? Well, you're not going to get these tickets. We're not going to give you special access. They have enough control with these fools that they push a narrative of falsehood, of labels, and disgusting accusations upon fans. This is not hyperbole. This has been happening. Fandom Menace Volume 1, already out. Go check it out. Fandom Menace Volume 2, I'll be dropping more. But until then, please go check out Disney Star Wars is Dumb, because this is not falsehood. If you feel in any way like how I felt, I did feel some kind of way when I see a fellow fan being attacked. If you feel some kind of way about how your favorite YouTuber, who might be your favorite YouTuber if you're here seeing this, Star Wars Theory, was treated like garbage by Pablo Hidalgo, then please understand, this has been happening for years. Let's take a look at some of these great people that work at Disney Lucasfilm, and you can decide for yourself from their own words, tweets, things that they've said. You decide for yourself. While we're still talking about Pablo, let's see what Ichibaka has to say. Let's take a trip down memory lane to see how Pablo's mockery of fans is not some misunderstood anomaly, but rather a demonstrable pattern of behavior, like when he compared all YouTubers to a tick. Where are people speaking out their minds right now? What is the platform where most people are speaking their minds? Where's Star Wars Theory from? What platform is he on? People have been speaking out in defense of themselves, or their love for their modern myths, or their friends, or just Star Wars in general on YouTube. That's disgusting to them. You remember what Ryan Johnson said about Mike Zero? You throw a piece of trash in a wastebasket. I zeroed it. No respect. No respect. Not for YouTubers, not for fans, not for nobody. Now let's take a look at Pablo's response when Disney threatened legal action against Star Wars Theory over his fan film. People keep tagging me in some IP kerfuffle I refuse to follow, so I'll just do my usual franken no response. Let's look at the enemies lists of Pablo, right? This is Pablo's enemies list. These are the people that he's targeted in the past. People that he's told his followers, as a person working at Disney Lucasfilm, as a representative of Lucasfilm, Disney, are you paying attention? Do you give a shit what's going on in your own house? Here we go. Here are some names. These are the names that stood up. A lot of these people are in my books because they were the first people to stand up. Little channels, the people that didn't have channels that made channels, people that had channels and were grinding and just switched up gears completely to defend other Star Wars fans. People like Odin's Movie Blog, Jesse Milestone, that Star Wars Girl, Ivan Ortega, Ivan Ortega, World Class Bullshitters, GeeksandGamers.com, D-Day Cobra. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Enemy number 1. We need to label them as toxic. Call the shills. Call the access media. Put pressure on them. We need them to talk trash about these people. Call them alt-right. Call them sexist. Call them Nazis. Here's Pablo. If you find yourself wondering if your fandom is a weird one, don't. They all are. No respect. This dude's a jerk. He thinks he's sly. He's not. Fandom has always been like this. You have no idea how hated Empire Strikes Back was by some shippers for hooking up Leia and Han. What the fuck are you talking about? Hey, Dr. Rorschach Hound, way back when, says, that's why even though I'm a diehard Star Wars fan myself, I absolutely cannot stand the Star Wars fan base. They are some of the most whiny, toxic man babies I've ever seen. How do you call yourself a fan? And then Pablo's response, it's always been shitty, but there's been an enclave of scientists uncovering a new strata of shitty hereunto unseen. This is the person working at the Dream Factory. This is the dude that came at Star Wars Theory. But there's been a pattern of behavior with Pablo Hidalgo. Now let's talk about the people that are around Pablo. This is Daniel Older. He also gets a spot in my book. He's a writer for Star Wars. He's one of the new woke hires under Kathleen Kennedy. Some random Darth on planet P-17 of an out-of-print comic from 1992. Is this a character I can use to gatekeep other fans? No respect whatsoever to the material that came before him. As a writer, can you imagine that? I don't know if any of y'all are writers out there. Would you imagine continuing something, a previous work, and not grafting it to that previous work, not respecting that previous work, doing something completely different, kind of like The Last Jedi? Can you imagine that? That's the company culture there. This is a writer. This is an article I want you guys to go read. Lots of stuff, lots of interesting things on Disney Star Wars is dumb. This is Amber Goldsmith, an applicant for Lucasfilm's social media manager position, comes forward to tell her story. Take this what you will. This is her story. Take it from someone who applied to Lucasfilm's social media manager position, which has been relisted no less than 3 times in 1.5 years. Pablo and his friends are douchebags. They go around screenshotting fans' tweets to make fun of them. I complained to Disney Lucasfilm about it, specifically after Matt Martin of Lucasfilm helped me apply for a social media manager job at the company. I was first told, you don't fit our company culture. Then I was informed by a friend that found Pablo and his friends had screenshotted my tweets, making fun of me. She didn't regurgitate the echo chamber. Damn. I am also an autistic person, which made this mocking and bullying by Pablo and his friends much worse, because I literally had never interacted with any of them beforehand. Yet several of them had works for Lucasfilm in their bios. They looked me up specifically to mock me. Many women in the Reylo side of the fandom specifically have Pablo on his friends, as well as his wife, blocked on Twitter because they went after female and Reylo fans for a while, screenshotting and mocking them online. Now that Reylos blocked them en masse, they moved to men. That's a damn shame. Reylos was I thought they were catering to Reylos. Looks like they didn't matter either. This is Leslie Headland, the former Harvey Weinstein personal assistant, who's going to be running another show with Kathleen Kennedy coming up for Disney Plus. This is somebody Kennedy found and hired and brought in. This is one of her woke hires.
Politically correct, and so as I started to rise in television, I started to just get more blunt and just start saying, like, I would like a black writer, because if I said diverse, you get well, white is diverse, which is something somebody said to me, and I was like, wow.
Not racist at all, not thinking in terms of color, not at all. Here's a story about Jason Ward from Making Star Wars. He's a 40-year-old man who makes friends with 15-year-olds. Suggest you read this one. It's kind of creepy. Keep your kids away from people that work in or around Disney Lucasfilm. Protect your kids. And if you're interested about further stories involving Jason Ward, there are plenty of him attempting to using his position to get favors from ladies. This is Jordan Mason. He's a Star Wars artist for Topps. He says, here's my hot take. No company, publisher, creator owes you a single thing. Being a customer or consumer entitles you to jack shit. Legit criticism in an effort to bring problems to light is one thing, but buying a product doesn't give you carte blanche to be an a-hole. We see it plenty with Star Wars and Marvel, but it applies to gaming, books, and more. The customer is always right mentality is BS, and too often a rallying cry for bad faith dipshits who feel like they can say or do whatever they want. I'm glad you bought a t-shirt for your favorite movie or game, but no, you can't go into the lobby of their building and take a giant crap on the floor because you didn't like how the last product turned out. Real talk, I've always thought BioWare going back and doing a DLC on Mass Effect 3 specifically to alter the ending was a horrible idea. It was all about fans whining because it wasn't what they wanted. You're bad. You're bad for demanding a better product. You're bad for criticizing creatives, creative directions, or what they're doing. You are to consume. That's it. Take it, dipshit. Consume. This is Madeline. She's a New York Times best-selling author. She also wrote a short story Eclipse for the anthology From a Certain Point of View. She's a writer at Disney Star Wars. She says, if you guys were in the cyberpunk future and its internet white supremacists, crusty suburban women and isolationists popping up and emerging fascists, so like now, the time to get a tattoo, cool leather coat, and find activism. Now, this is someone, Chuck Wendig. You can go find any number of dipshit things Chuck Wendig has said. Star Wars writer. The Constitution is just some shit we made up, right? It isn't science. Jesus didn't shit it into existence. And Madeline replies, it's also old as fuck, written only by white men in a sore need of an update. These are the people that are hired at Disney Lucasfilm, and there's tons of them. Go check out Disney Star Wars is Dumb. There's tons of them. They are obsessed with being hateful. They're obsessed with race, sex, and gender. They virtue signal all the time, and they come at one another all the time if they don't virtue signal enough. This is the true face of Disney Lucasfilm. This is the company culture. These are the haters. They came at Rosario Dawson too, right? Because of an unfounded claim of her being a transphobe. That's all it took. Look what happened to Gina Carano. They have the Access Media, the shills, the toxic fantavists, people in Disney Lucasfilm coming at her, coming at Rosario. They eat their own. They don't care. This is the type of company culture that has been fostered under Kathleen Kennedy. This, Disney, what are you doing? Are you keeping up in your house? Do you know what's going on in your house? This kind of divisive bullshit is why Pablo Hidalgo took, 15 hours to manufacture a reply? Because he didn't feel sorry. He doesn't feel sorry when he came to Star Wars Theory. He doesn't feel sorry when he's come to fans of the past. Neither did Rian Johnson. Neither does Daniel or Ray, any of these writers, any of these people in this story group. Leslie Headland. Leslie Headland was an assistant for Harvey Weinstein. She wrote a play praising him. She's in there because she has the right ideology. She has the right ideology. White people aren't diverse. I'm going to call you white bitches out. You need to do your part. This is the company culture of Disney Lucasfilm. It's not progressive. It's not inclusive. It's about exclusion. It's about control. Controlling narrative, controlling culture, using Star Wars as a platform to espouse division and hate. I am author Stephen Walton, the Fandom Menace historian. Please check out my books. They are available in the description below. Fandom Menace Volume 1, A Fandom Betrayed, leads up to 2018. And Volume 2, which will be coming out next year, early spring next year, Rise of the Rebellion, which is about the voices who first stood up and spoke out on behalf of the fandom, to protect the fandom in defense while fighting for our modern myths. Be good to each other. Do not kneel. Peace.